Welcome to the Beauty Business Strategies Podcast. I'm Christy Hardy, and today I am joined with a very special guest, Laura Hess, who is the General Manager at A Glo Spa and Salon. Welcome, Laura. I'm so glad to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Tell us just a tiny bit about your role at A Glo as the General Manager. How long have you been in it? What caused you to get into this role? And then we'll dive into some questions about being a General Manager.
Sure. So I've been in the industry for about 12 years and General Manager for about 5 years.
Okay. And what drew you to that position? Like, was it just like a natural? How'd you get there?
Yeah.
How'd you get there?
So I was a career changer, and so my background kind of has some management in it, some business and retail management. So it was a natural fit, but then being plugged into the industry that I really wanted to be in was kind of the key there. And then once I joined the team at A Glo, I knew that was the company that I wanted to do that growing with.
Good.
And Christy makes it possible for opportunities to happen. So
That is awesome. That is awesome. And as a general manager, I'm sure you're creating those opportunities for your team as well.
yes.
You guys are a team-based pay business. You follow the team-based business model.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what it's like to manage within a team.
Well, like managing other teams, I think there's always that challenge of having lots of different personalities and work styles and gifts and talents. And we have 45 employees, so it's a lot of women working together. So creating an environment where we can give grace to each other and understand how each other works.
Yeah.
Our guests touch a lot of different people.
That's
we
great.
touch a lot of people touch our guests, from guest care department to the service provider to it's a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
So just keeping that cohesive is a challenge, but I think we do it pretty well.
How do you try to keep your team cohesive?
We do a lot of analyzing of not just data, but things like personality assessments, working style assessments, to try to get to really pull out the gifts from people in order to thrive.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You find where they fit.
Yes.
And then mold them into better humans, better business leaders, better team members, all of the above.
Right.
I did that too. So I'm in the similar scenario of, in my previous role, it was general manager as well. And I felt like I had the ability to help team members create their career.
Yes.
Instead of just have a job.
Yes.
And I think it's all about pulling the best out of them.
Yes.
And that's really what our job is, right? We can manage tasks, but it's really about pulling what's best out of our team members, for sure.
That's definitely the most fun, is to help them to realize their potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so too. I agree. Yeah. So here, I have a couple of questions for you. We're talking a little bit about building a cohesive team. Are there any unique challenges that you've faced managing in this industry, in the salon and spa environment?
I think that keeping everybody productive, and creating this environment of wanting to help each other, and how that can translate to better for everyone. So I think that's unique to a team-based salon, for sure.
I agree.
But it also is worth the effort, because then there's not competition between the service providers in any way.
Yeah.
And helping them to understand the why behind helping each other out, and how if we all win, like, that's great for everybody.
We all win.
Yeah,
when we all win, we all win, right?
For sure.
Absolutely. I love that, the idea of in that team where we're not pitting people against each other. It's not building my column it's building ours. And
yes.
I think that is so unique in our environment. But
for sure it is.
Tell us how you keep that motivation engaged. How do you stay engaged and motivating a very large team? You have a lot of responsibility around that. How do you keep yourself and your team motivated and engaged?
Well, I think when during busy periods, it's relatively easy, because we get to celebrate in the numbers every day.
Yeah.
And it's fast paced, and it's fun, and it's exciting, and the energy's high. It's in like a little bit slower seasons that are the challenging part.
Yeah.
And so what we do is, we have monthly touch-base meetings, we have quarterly career coaching, and within those, we're constantly talking about, like, what things are you working on to personally and professionally develop yourself, and how can we help support that? And so there's always something in their back pocket that they know that they need to be working on, and it's for a goal.
Yeah.
And so just reminding and supporting that, why did you set this as a goal for yourself, and how important that is to work on it when there's time to work on it.
And do you help them set the goals?
I do, but I think that they'll support what they help to create.
Yes,
and
I agree.
So we definitely use that a lot. And so I think in order to feel motivated, we have to be working towards something, not just in something.
Yes.
If we're just like in it, it's easy to feel that stagnant, I'm bored. And so like constantly working towards something. But I think that I very much want them to create it.
I love it. I
just help to draw that out, I guess.
Right. Asking the right questions, showing them different opportunities. That's great.
For sure.
That is awesome. That is awesome. If you had to kind of coach another manager through handling conflict, because that's always a question I get, is, how do we navigate and address conflict within our team-based business?
If there's conflict between team members, I definitely will encourage and coach for them to work it out themselves. So oftentimes if there's a conflict, someone might come to me like, here's the situation, what do you think I should do?
Yeah.
It's not like, here's my situation, please fix it for me.
Okay, good.
So I think that that's super cool.
Yeah.
Not that there's never a time I become involved, but it's pretty rare.
That's great.
That I do. Usually we'll kind of maybe practice what the conversation looks like if it's a hard one that they need to have with someone. And then they do it, and then we kind of recap after it's happened, and how did it go? How could it have gone better? Did you reach the resolution or not? So
that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. You are creating a really safe space for your team to personally grow when you are kind of coaching them through those conversations.
Yes, I think that's super important.
I do too. What if we flip it and we think about, how do we manage client conflict? So like, how do you get involved? At what level do you get involved? And how do you coach your team through client conflict?
Sure. Well, it kind of depends on what the conflict is. We're really blessed to have an entire leadership team. So we have, our guest care manager.
Okay.
So if it's kind of on the, that side of things, she does an amazing job handling that. So like if they were charged wrong or got charged for something that they didn't have, or undercharged or whatever, our guest care team will handle that. If it's more service provider related, like they didn't love their hair or whatever, I see that as a great gift, first of all, like that the guest is willing to give us a try to fix the problem and to redo it. I think that with any conflict, the biggest thing is to just hear what they have to say.
Yes.
And sometimes that's enough.
You are so right.
So if the client who is potentially unhappy feels heard, that's the most important thing. And we'll definitely do everything that we can to make things better. Yeah. So it's a gift.
Awesome. I think so too. I say that all the time. All feedback is good feedback, even when sometimes it stings. Yeah. Because that's how we grow. Yeah. It truly is.
And I think it's sweet because they're sometimes so concerned that the service provider will be in trouble. And like I assure them that's not the case. We welcome feedback because there's really no failure. It's opportunity for growth and learning.
Absolutely. We don't get better if we don't know what we're doing.
For sure.
That doesn't match with the needs.
For sure.
So let's flip it a little bit and talk about, how do we make sure that our teams feel valued and they gain that confidence? How do you as a leader just really dive into that with them and provide this opportunity for them to feel valued and see some growth and some success?
I'm a big fan of, if I see something positive, I try to say it.
Awesome.
Praise, praise, praise. And, praise publicly and and you give feedback privately.
Yeah.
But I think, helping somebody, because this is how I was led, is that somebody believed in me before I believed in myself.
Yes.
And so that's what I try to help them feel, because I do.
Yes.
There's not a team member on our staff that I don't believe in them.
Yes.
And so just to really help them understand, like, even if you don't believe in yourself right now, I believe in you.
Yeah.
And
you can borrow my belief until you feel it
Yes,
yourself. Yeah.
for sure. And then just loving them, loving them, and listening to their needs and making time for that. I think making time, especially when I don't have time,
How do you do that?
speaks volumes. Take a deep breath sometimes,
Yeah.
and just understand that when we allow busyness as leaders to consume us, then kindness and compassion kind of get pushed to the side.
So true.
And so taking the time and understanding that that is the most important thing. We say, like, our team members are internal clients.
Yep.
It's very true. And I think that showing that we're willing to listen, even though we have a million things happening and that we're trying to accomplish, I think that is probably the single most valuable thing to an employee, to feel, valued and loved.
Yeah. And you've built a culture of trust and compassion, and it's incredible. I'm going to go on that culture piece for a second, because I know how important culture is to A Glo. Share with some of our listeners how you've created that culture of just true dedication to your employees and building an environment where they can continue to grow. How do you guys work on your culture?
I think that consistency is really important. We don't compromise on holding our huddles.
Okay, good. Communication.
We have, what we've chosen to do with huddles is we have a monthly topic for wellness. And so,
nice.
For example, in January, it was all about our mission statement, because we needed some help remembering what that is and back to the basics. And in February was interpersonal relationships. And this month is mental health in the workplace.
Wow.
And so we talk about that in huddle.
That's awesome.
And so I think consistency with regard to culture is really important. What is done for one is done for all. We celebrate their lives.
Awesome.
If someone's getting married or having a baby, we sponsor a shower for them.
Wonderful.
And, we give birthday celebrations and gifts. And I think that all of that helps them to feel valued and helps with the culture, because people want to come to work when it's when you feel like it's a safe place. And sometimes work is a person's safe place.
You're right. You're right.
And
I've had that experience too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, where finally somebody sees me, values me, and they may not have felt that in other portions of their lives. This is awesome. I had a question and it just popped out of my head, so I'm going to come back to it, I'm sure. But when we're building a team, is there anything that you would recommend someone coming into the general manager role needs to focus on when trying to build team in our industry? Because it's so individual right now. Like we hear so much about either commission salons or booth rent, and those feel really disconnected. How do we connect? I know we talked about culture, but how do you build that team?
I think really listening deeply to what they need is really important, but it has to be balanced with certain expectations. So again, if expectations are the same for everybody, being consistent on that, but also like having the ability to listen to what they're going through and what their needs are. If we can meet their needs and they can meet our needs, I mean, that's ultimately what we want, right?
Yeah.
And so I think consistency is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like as a general manager, your primary focus is your internal client or your employees, those team members? Do you feel like that's your primary responsibility?
For sure.
Okay.
I think that it's important for me to have a pulse on how everything is operating.
Yeah.
And making sure that we're giving the customer experience that we need to give. But it's more about helping them give that.
Right.
It's not me directly giving that so much.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, that's how I felt too, that I needed to really take care of my internal client so that then in turn they could take care of someone else.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But being able to paint that picture. So
For sure.
that is awesome. All right. So I have one final question for you. And it is, what advice would you give to someone who is new in managing a team in our industry?
Stay humble.
Okay. Tell me more.
I think that it's important for somebody entering leadership to not get hung up with a title.
Yes.
Or to think that we know all the answers. I definitely don't know all the answers.
So true.
Yeah, I think it's just as important for us as leaders to remain coachable.
Yes.
Just like we want our team to remain coachable and teachable,
Yes.
I guess maybe is a better word. But being real with my team, I think, has had a big impact on them. That they understand that I'm willing to admit if I've made a mistake.
Nice.
Is important to me.
Yeah. And building that level of trust with them.
Yeah.
And vulnerability. Yeah, to your point, like vulnerability, if we show it, then they can feel like there's enough of a trust that they can do the same. And we're going to be able to see so much growth from them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is really awesome. Well, I just adore both you and Christy and A Glo Spa and Salon. That you guys just have such a warm and welcoming environment and your generosity to not only your team, but also to all of us around you. It's something that you guys are known for. You probably don't know you're known for, but there's a lot of talk about how A Glo really does support in so many ways, and that dedication to growing team, growing our industry, and growing ourselves as professionals. You guys are real role models for that. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for joining us for today's Beauty Business Strategies podcast. If you'd like to join us for a complimentary call, please click the link in the description below, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks again for listening to the Beauty Business Strategies podcast. If you like this episode, be sure to hit follow. To learn more about how strategies can help create more fun, profit, and growth potential for you, your company, and your team, we invite you to schedule a free 60-minute strategy session by clicking the direct link in the description of this episode.